this is part 2 of this week's Don't Revive Me Bro podcast.
Cool. Now, have you ever been in a server of comprised 100% of military people?
Ooh,
how's that play out?
No, I think the world implodes if you do that. No, I mean, honestly, I would love it. Yeah, everything would just go nuts. We'd probably, all of a sudden it would just be the no shit there I was stories. But no, actually, I have to say that unless it was not to my knowing, I don't think I've ever been on one completely military. But that is something to shoot for.
We've had 8 or 10 guys on maybe on a team, but
we've definitely stacked a team.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But as far as being on both sides, no. I think the closest we came, Mark, was maybe on when we were doing the what was that? The Veterans Day.
Oh yeah, the Veterans Day stuff with Medal of Honor. Yeah,
right.
I think we went across a couple of platforms, but I know on the PC side we did load them up pretty good. But I think we're going to try to explore more of that stuff in the future, and try to. But in that one we were trying to do more military appreciation and also doing some teaching on those servers. So that would kind of have the inherent bring in the civilians feel to them.
Okay. So talking, I guess civilians will segue into another question that maybe you guys would have a different perspective on from the general public, but. Do you find that first-person shooter games desensitize people?
That's a tough one. In law enforcement, and what we talk about a lot is how the society has become a little bit more violent. And really that is traced back to the end of World War II when the veterans came back from combat. That's when you start seeing violence in society increase. I can't say that it's video games. There's so many different things out there. There's media, movies, music. I don't think it's video games. I think it's a combination of things, and I think it's the availability of, you're talking in 1940, you had the radio, and you might have heard about war stories, and then come in 1971, you're looking at actual combat from Vietnam on your TV. And so it's the availability of violence to the general public that desensitizes you. It's mass media in general, and it's not a fault, but it's a fact.
Well, and we also place a higher value on human life than some of these other countries do. I mean, look what's going on in some of these third world countries. The Ivory Coast, they killed over 1,000 people with machetes. And what kind of sense of human life, what kind of sense of worth do they hold for on a fellow human, what they would hack to death with a machete? Yeah, we see violence on TV, but it's very, I guess, sterile the way you look at it. Yeah, in a video game you see you hear the impact and you see the blood fly off of somebody, but you don't see the end result. You don't walk up on the person and see them laying there with their head split open and they're with that glazed over look in their eyes, that the lights are off and they're forever gone. So I guess you would say first world countries, we have a better self-worth of human life than some of these other folks do. But, I don't think the video games desensitize us as much as what you would see out there in real life would actually desensitize you. If you kept doing it. If you were exposed to stuff like that in real life every day, you would become desensitized to it real quick.
Yeah, abnormal becomes normal.
And the people that are trying to label video games with patterning into violence, and I don't agree with that at all. I spent my entire childhood watching Wile E. Coyote blow himself up, and cartoon characters getting hit over with their head with a skillet, but I don't run around and smack people or blow people up either. I think people are going to tie things to wherever they want them to be. I don't think that fake violence as it is in the video games has anything to do with actual violence, and it's a pretty damn huge leap. I think we see more violence on television these days than we do in video games.
Well, one thing I did learn to appreciate is from the rap videos is the way the bad guys like to hold their pistol when they're shooting at cops. If, as a police officer, if I was ever going to get shot at, I would definitely want them to do the old gangster fire at me, like they're throwing around or something. Because that's just a bigger chance of missing me.
Straight from the hip.
You probably agree with that, wouldn't you, Rick?
Oh yeah, that's like a Christmas present right there. Thank you.
So, I mean, we were talking about this a little bit earlier about firing RPGs point blank and stuff, but I mean, what's your guys' take on like no scopers, quick scopers, and I mean, do you guys partake in that playstyle, or do you kind of try to make it as real as possible for you?
Well, I actually
our natural tendency is to use how you were trained. So no scoping and using some of that other stuff is actually, I actually see it as a learning curve. You'd actually have to practice doing that to kind of break the habits.
Yeah, try to get on, go onto a hardcore server where you don't get the little crosshairs on the front, and try to no scope somebody. You'll throw most of your rounds off to the side. When Medal of Honor first came out, the new one, I actually played it on hardcore or expert level just to see how tough it really was. And then when I get online, I find myself mostly in the hardcore servers because that forces me to bring up my EOTech sight or my crosshairs, so I have to aim in on somebody. But I'll guarantee you, when I'm trying to scroll through my mouse selections and trying to get my weapon number 1, 2, or 3, hey, if that RPG happens to pop up and that's all I got in my hand at that time, I'm firing that sucker off. I don't care where I'm at, So if the guy's 10 feet away, he's catching it in the chest. So, but 9 times out of 10, I'll be trying to get my pistol and I'll throw a smoke grenade and then I die. So.
Right. Quick question from the stream. Is it possible to completely get rid of your fears when you're in a real firefight, no matter how much combat experience you may have? Like, is it possible to get used to that feeling?
It's possible when you catch a round, and that's about it.
I think you're more scared at that point. That's when you get into, the fear thing is there, but it's a different fear. And I think you'll find that most of the combat vets would argue this, and even under stress situations, stress and fear can actually tune you up. And without that, you'll be. There's been studies that say the stuff in your body that goes on during stress and fear actually helps your visual acuity and your reaction time. So, I guess if my only experience with that is jumping out of airplanes. There was one time I wasn't scared and jumped out of the plane and nearly had an accident, and went back to scared all the time, which is the default situation.
Yeah, it's not like you're walking a razor's edge or anything.
You overcome it.
Yeah, most definitely, and you'll find.
Well, there's paralyzing fear, and then there's normal operating fear.
Right, and you'll find that yourself that the more you train in peacetime that's how you react. Your training will kick over automatically, pretty much when you come under one of those stressful situations. When we were in law enforcement, the repeated firing of the pistols thousands of times, and you get that muscle memory built up. That's the same thing what you do in the military, is through your battle drills and things like that, and repetitive action, you pick up a muscle memory both on your body and in your mind, that when you find yourself in a situation where if you're in an ambush or something, you will react to that ambush right away. You'll try to salt through it. Or in the case when we were jumping out of airplanes, yeah, of course, you get the dry cotton mouth and your heart rate's up, and then you're going to that door. You ask yourself, what the hell am I doing? But when you hand that static line off and go out that door, your training kicks in, you get in a good tight body position. You don't even think about it. You got your eyes open, or in Mark's case, you probably kept them closed all the time. But
everything's a night job.
Yeah, you check up you check your canopy, and then your training takes over, and you look for a place to land on the ground, and that's just a means of delivery to get into the battle, and then you gather up your equipment and you march to the sounds of the gun. But your training will kick in, so the more you train for something, the better you react under stress when it actually happens. And a lot of guys say a lot of their training is tougher than actual combat.
I guess basically, everything turns into instincts when after you train so long. Hello?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
There you're good.
I lost you guys, but I remember jumping out at airborne school. I remember my third jump. Everything just really became fun after I think the second one, and we were doing Hollywood. And I jumped out, and I didn't tuck my chin down to my chest when I was landing, and I mean just busted. I mean just saw stars afterwards. And I remember after that became an instinct of mine to always tuck my chin down to my chest.
Well, and that's where fear is an incredible teacher.
Yes.
So I mean that's where that comes into play. I think just bringing that full circle, fear is going to definitely be part of it, and I don't think that's a component that we can get in the game. They can stress you, they can put enough stuff on you that you'll react, but I don't think you're ever going to have that total fear response, because if I get killed, I'm annoyed because I'm going to start over again. But it's not that.
So they have that guy with the gun behind your mouth,
scared.
Well, and you'll see it you'll see it in real life. The people that get the paralyzing fear, that don't know how to react or just wet on themselves and just stare off into the distance. Those folks have never had any type of training to react under a stressful situation. It's interesting to look at it like a disaster film or something, like a situation going on where there's a shooting. Don't look at the people running away. Look at the people going towards the problem. And those are the people that were trained. It takes a certain individual to march to the sound of the guns. While everybody's running past you in fear. It's just inherent in some people's psyche, I guess, to go to those types of jobs, be it the military or be it public safety. And you got the difference between the EMS guys and the firefighters and the cops, but they all seem to go to where the problem is. And it's something in their training that kicks in. And yeah, you'll get scared. You go into a burning building, and fire hurts. I'll tell you that from personal experience. It burns. But you get in there and you put the hose on something, and at the end of it, when everything's said and done, and the mission's completed, there's a little bit of job satisfaction where you step back and go, yeah, man, I kicked this job's ass. It was pretty good to go. And so I guess it's the training that keeps the fear level to a tolerable level. It's always there. It's always in the back of your mind, because, you don't want to get hurt. Pain hurts. It stings, it burns, it cuts. And I'm like any other human. I don't like pain at all. I want to avoid it at all costs. But sometimes you got to stick your hand in the fire, to be able to turn something off. And that's where the training kicks in. You trust your protection, and you trust the guys to your right and left of you to, help you keep you safe as possible.
Cool.
Yep.
So yeah, I was actually on your site a couple of days ago. I was listening to your podcast, and then I also caught a little bit about the Blue Falcon Hunt Club. Actually, Chris was watching the site. He's listening to it, and you guys were talking about Blue Falcons. And, the first thing came to my mind, being private army, as buddy fuckers. So I yelled
exactly it. Yep.
Got it.
I yelled that out to him, and he was like, "Oh." And then when he went through it, and as we were looking on the page, that's what it said, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, you guys have to explain that, because I think a lot of people, because we call the people on your team in Battlefield blueberries, the blue guys. So the Blue Falcons made me laugh. So you guys will have to explain it.
But in the military, in the Army in particular, I don't know how much outside of that, but everything is acronyms, and you used to say Bravo Foxtrot, so Blue Falcon. And it's buddy fuckers is what it is. So you'd say Bravo Foxtrot, but then it kind of morphed into Blue Falcon. It was just easier. And I used to have this thing where, and I think Al can do this really well. You'd have a formation if somebody was just screwing over the platoon. They do something wrong and get the drill sergeant mad at you, and you guys would be doing push-ups or grass drills or something. Then he's the Blue Falcon. He's the guy that screwed everybody. And so they used to do this stuff. They used to say the call of the Blue Falcon, and you'd hear people, in the do the whole call. Yeah. So you'd hear that in the platoon, and usually that would just incense everybody to get more punishment. But it was hilarious. But so you have Blue Falcons, and we noticed that you got these guys that just doing things wrong. The guy that steals the chopper and doesn't care about the rest of them. He's going to take it and ditch it and go. And they're just screwing you. And so we decided that we were just going to start calling these guys out because they'll make us nuts all day long. I know it irritates a lot of people, but for us, it's you just want to reach through and choke them. So the whole thing is, I decided that we needed to give these guys a name and give them a personality, and so we created the award. And this just started, so we're gonna be out there looking, and as we find these guys, we're gonna take screenshots or video caps. We're going to call out their usernames and the games that they were playing on servers, and then we're gonna give them the award. And then we're gonna start a little wall of shame on the site, and just try to, hopefully the negative reinforcement will encourage a normal behavior in these idiots, and we'll see. But for then, so we've got the award for those who are earning it, and then we have we were encouraging everyone else in order to foster the good behavior to join the Blue Falcon Hunt Club. And so I've got the icon and the graphic and some of the stuff you can put on your site, and you can go out there and hunt Blue Falcons. And we're going to nominate people, and hopefully we'll find some. Hopefully you guys will find some, and maybe by embarrassment, we'll change some of the behavior.
Oh, I was up on a Medal of Honor today on the Shicot Mountain, firing my suppressed sniper weapon, and I had some bozo jumped up right next to me and cranked off with the saw, non-suppressed. And that's what the thoughts that went through my head is, this guy's a Blue Falcon. But
just light a flare and put it on the top of your head.
Yeah, or the guy that fires the RPG off next to you while you're you're trying to lay down your suppressive fire with a suppressed weapon, and he just gave your positions away, and the next thing you know, you got all the doom coming back at you. Yeah, those guys are the Blue Falcons.
Or the guy
we all know them.
The guy who gets mad because you get in the vehicle before he does, and he shoots it to take you and the vehicle out.
Oh, yeah, those are Blue Falcons. We all know them. So hunt them down and put them up on the site. We'd love to see them.
You know who you are.
Yep.
Don't be that guy.
Wall of shame.
Screenshots every night I game. I'm letting you know now. Screenshots every night I game.
Yeah, all you people that record, you make sure to save those clips and send them over to these guys.
Yeah, we're going to, you know what? I'm going to see if we can find some really good ones. I'm even going to start collecting up some stuff that we get from various outlets, and I may actually start awarding people who nominate particularly really good Blue Falcons. So I'll kind of throw that out there that if we get some quality stuff, maybe we'll do the award for the offender, and maybe I'll award a little prize for the hunter.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, because both Taco and Colin record. I know a lot of people that listen to our podcast record. So you guys go hunt some Blue Falcons, and let's get these guys exposed.
Looking forward to it. we do it. We just don't officially dub them Blue Falcons, but no, that's a good one.
And now you have a place to post them.
Awesome. So we're actually getting some questions here on the live stream, and I've seen one go by a few times talking about your guys' thoughts on weapon realism in the game, and somebody actually hit me on Twitter following up, just saying that in core mode you can take a 50 cal sniper round to the abdomen, and if you're at a safe distance, it doesn't knock you down. But how do you guys feel about that? I mean, I have my own thoughts that it's a game.
A safe distance against a 50 cal is out of range.
Yeah.
If you're in range of a 50 cal, you're not getting up. Yeah, I don't think there's a spot on your body that you could get hit with a 50 cal and not decide you're probably going to have to go get fixed up.
I'm done.
At least.
A
you're
near
off
miss
the battlefield at least for a while.
A near miss with the 50 cal. If that thing goes by your head 3 inches away in a miss, the pressure wave will tear your skin. So it's the mechanics of the game. I don't know how these guys do the shot computations, but if you hit a guy in the arm with the 50 caliber, it's going to rip the arm off. The guy should go down and bleed out. He's not an instant death, but he should probably be 2% away from dying out. So some of the games. I think the mechanics and the computations need to be a little bit more accurate depending on the ballistics of the weapon that hits you. If you get hit with a Hellfire missile, you're going to die. Medal of Honor again. If somebody drops that cruise missile on you and that thing hits, a half a block away, the pressure wave should kill everybody, but it doesn't. So the mechanics of the game need to be tweaked a little bit towards realism, and that's something the developers are going to have to come up with.
That brings me up to a question. The kill streaks in Medal of Honor, like when you get dropped the cruise missile on your spawn point over and over and over, and your kill streaks just keep going up. I mean, how do you guys feel about that? I mean, sometimes they get pretty ridiculous when you spawn in and it's just, you're going to instantly die. I mean,
well, that's where the guys know where if you're one of those guys that can sit back and know where the spawn points are on a certain part of a map, and you get the mortar rounds, you get the rocket attack, the field artillery, the cast support, the hellfire, and then you get more artillery, and then you get the big cruise missile, you can definitely rack them up. You can come up with something. I saw something online the other day. It was like 60. The guy had like 62 kills and 3 deaths, and he obviously sat on the far end of the map and just kept dropping ordnance down there. The reaction time for a mortar round or something like that, of course, that's near and dear to my heart, hence the name the Mortar Man. That's what I did when I was in the Army. The time of flight for a mortar it can be anywhere between 15 to 35 seconds. And, the stuff in the Medal of Honor games and Battlefield, it's pretty much instantaneous. I think there should be a 10 or 15 second delay. And when you hear those calls of, hey, mortar's incoming, you can actually run and get the heck out of the way.
All right, yeah.
I think there should also be, at some level, a means for either the server admin to somehow to cap the number of streaks. If you're getting, 4 or 5 artillery rounds back to back, I think maybe that should be enough, at least for a while. But that's just my personal thought. Put a slight cap on it, because you know what? In real life, artillery runs out of rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the problem with kill streaks is and that's a general problem in the industry right now, is that they're not pushing as much teamwork as I think that they should foster. Everybody's an individual, and kill streaks to me reward an individual and turn it into an army of one. If I have all that ordnance and all that power, then what do I need these other guys for? I'm just doing my thing. So it doesn't foster a team tactical movement type of setup. And never mind realism, because I'll tell you, most of the stuff that you would get in those kill streaks are not things you were going to command on a battlefield, even as an officer. So it's not realistic, but for me, the biggest issue is that just plays into one of the biggest problems with the games right now, and that's that it's just a team of individuals, and it doesn't push them into a position where they're actually working together to say, hey, look, if we 3 or we 4 go and do something, then we'll get a team reward. I think that's probably where I would like to see games go.
Mm-hmm. So do you guys think that air support in today's games are realistic at all?
No. I think it's the maps are too small, and I think the stuff that comes in is usually tiny. Even with one of the things that irritated me about Medal of Honor, even the support options, you call in mortar rounds, they would fall immediately. Well, anybody that knows anything knows you're going to call in those coordinates, and the rounds will be inbound after they make the correction. So it could be a little while before they're going to hit. So you can't just go, I'm leading a target, and then I'm going to drop those mortar rounds on somebody running across the thing. You're going to miss them completely in those. So guys would use those not in an effective and normal manner. So I think there's a lot of support things that need to change, and there needs to be a switch in the patience level of a lot of gamers.
Right. Yeah. I guess it's got it's a balance between realism and keeping the game going. A lot of these, Call of Duty specifically, you have to call in those streaks immediately, and you call in your kill streaks as soon as they
I don't have a
happen.
problem doing that. I would like to see. I realize there's a lot of people that are individuals and they just like to play that way. Maybe what needs to happen in the game industry is that when you're talking about a hardcore server, maybe it doesn't just take off the HUD. Maybe it actually takes a lot of that stuff off of there and forces more of that team play. So your kill streaks and stuff happen on the normal settings, but when you want to dial it up and you want to play in a different style, then those options are built into the game, so you can actually have those and turn them and dial them up and down.
So do you guys?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
go
going to
ahead.
say, I was going to say, I'd like to see, talking about the air support, I would like to see maybe in a different type of game or something, for more realism, you ought to talk about secondary explosions. I mean, if you're going to hit an armored personnel carrier, that thing's got an ammo rack. So if, you light it up, it's going to go more than just boom. It's going to go boom, 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 boom. So it's not as realistic as it could be, but again, it kind of goes back to how much fun would it be if you hit some area with a cruise missile and then the whole warehouse goes up because there's a fuel drum or an airplane in there. I mean, it's a matter of what you can do and still make it fun and realism. Some things you can't implement because it ceases to be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So do you guys primarily play hardcore? Is that your game mode, or do you guys feel like you need the realism from that, or?
I think we actually lean towards that more often than not. And then I know we were in the hardcore servers on Medal of Honor, and then our most of the time we play Battlefield Bad Company 2 these days. And so you'll typically find us playing on hardcore servers, playing the new map, the heavy metal map, mainly because we like the distance. It gives us a little more time to plan, and you can actually go around things, and it's not so compressed that you feel like you just shoved right into the battle space.
Also, you get a better caliber of player, I think, on the hardcore server because when you have that. When you have the crosshairs up on your screen, I find it easier to just you don't even have to aim in and stuff, to engage a target. But I find on the hardcore servers, it's a bit of a challenge, and you find guys that there's always somebody out there that will always whoop your ass. And in all my years of gaming, I found there's always somebody better than you. But it's always a challenge to go up against that individual one-on-one and then beat them at their own game. And, if you beat me 20 times and I only beat you once, hey, I've beat you. That's all I need. And that gives me self-satisfaction. That's why I gravitate towards the hardcore servers.
Makes sense. Well, we're just kind of wrapping it up here. And I had one more question that you can kind of leave us with. What are your top elements that you need to see, that DICE needs to get right in order for you to give your stamp approval on Battlefield 3?
That's a hard one.
I think, I guess to get a stamp of approval, I think living up to the level that they set for themselves, and so far they've set the level pretty high. I think if they do that and it shows that respect for the military, I think then that'll make it for me. Is that they set a bar, they put their personal goal, and then they don't get to a point where they say, well, we're just going to try to get this done, and then come off of that. So setting a level, being happy with it, and then committing to it.
I agree with Mark on a lot of that, but also because I'm a prior Marine, that to me it's important that the Marines are conceited. We have what we call ourselves the best force in the military. Of course, being an old man now, I know that we're just as good as all of them. But for DICE to live up to what the standards the Corps holds itself to where I could look at that game and say, yeah, I could believe that man is a Marine. That's what I would like to see.
Personally, I'd like to see them quit pushing the Marines so damn much. Let's get some Air Force and Army guys in there. Just a jab at my good buddy Ricky.
I see Falcons making a comment how the Marines are looking for a few good Marines.
Marine recruiting is up.
Uncle Sam's misguided children.
Sponsored by Crayola.
Oh, that's the one thing you need to know how to. Did you need help with the numbers on coloring the book?
I always tell everybody that I went to go take the Marine entrance exam, and after I got past question 1, they said I was overqualified, and I said I only put my name down.
I got a good Marine joke if anybody wants to hear it.
Go for it. Close us out with that.
How many Marines does it take to turn a light bulb? Or change a light bulb? I messed it up already. How many Marines does it take to change a light bulb?
How many?
Oh no.
4. 1 to hold the light bulb, 2 to turn the ladder, and 1 to call cadence. Left foot, right. And that sums up the Marine Corps perfectly for me.
All right. Well, thank
Aren't you glad you asked us on the show?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a fantastic interview. We definitely learned a lot.
For sure, guys.
We
I want
appreciate it.
to thank you so much for your time and coming in to talk to us. Definitely gained a lot of insight for me, and Chris, I think probably all of our listeners as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted to have you guys on to kind of explain your point of view and what you guys look for in games. I think that's very interesting. And for all of you guys who haven't seen it, that are listening to this, go check out offdutygamers.com. You can check out all their trailer analysis for the Battlefield 3 trailers. I've linked a bunch of them on Don't Revive Me Bro as well. It's very interesting stuff, what they catch, what DICE is doing well and what they're kind of missing. So again, I'd like to thank you guys for coming on, and this has been episode 16, and talk to you guys later.
Airborne.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure.
Semper Fi.
This has been another episode of Don't Revive Me Bro, your Battlefield community podcast. Take care until the next time.